Hi, we're Laura and Dan. We've bought a beautiful rustic Portuguese barn and have literally zero knowledge of building and farming, but plan on converting it into a beautiful off-grid homestead. Follow us on our journey. We spent all of our savings on this land with the aim of turning it into a beautiful off-grid homestead. Hola, it's a beautiful day here. Sun's shining, the birds are tweeting. I'm walking by the stream and it sounds really nice. So what we're going to do today for you guys is we're going to do an updated land tour. We're also going to be talking about what our future plans are at different various points of the land, so you can have an idea of what's to come in future videos. Obviously we've only been here for about 6 months in total, so we've done a lot, but we've also made a lot of mistakes and we've learned a lot, so we're going to take that forward into future plans as well. So I'm just walking down the driveway, just about to head into the land, and we're looking forward to showing you about. So this is the entrance to our property. This gate's one of the first things that we actually built on the land. We had a lot of hunters walking through with shotguns before we built this gate, and we just wanted to kind of fence off the boundaries a little bit just to show that we were now on the land because it was abandoned for some time. So we'll show you inside the rest of the land.
So as Laura said before, one of the first things that we did put in place on the land was the gate. And funny enough, this is one of the first things I would change. And the reason is because we've learned so much about wood, and we've learned so much about what best materials to use to last longer. And if in the future, one of the future plans that we have actually over here is these two gigantic stones that are right here. So this big stone here and this big stone here was uncovered when we were uncovering doing all the land clearance. So in the future, one of the future things that we want to do is we want to put this and this bad boy at the side of the gate and make a better gate. So in the future, once we figure out how we're actually going to move them big stones, because they are really heavy, what we'll do is we'll place one at this side and one at this side, and then we'll make a big grand gate.
So now we're standing on top of the driveway that we've newly put down. Last winter when we first came to view the land and we ended up buying the land, it was one of the driest winters that Portugal's had. So the track was really good. We got our Sprinter van down here, amazing. There was no bogginess on the track. But this winter being the wettest winter in a while, it's been really bad. Our 4x4 truck was starting to get stuck, so we decided to put down this gravel just to make it much easier getting in and out of the land, which has been an absolute lightsaber.
Lightsaber. We need a lightsaber on the land.
It's been a lifesaver. One of the things that we really needed on the land was to dig a channel to manage the water that was flooding across from the land next to us, and that goes through a channel underneath the driveway that we've done, and that takes the water into the stream. So now when we have a lot of rainfall here, it's not going to flood the land and it's going to channel off into the stream.
And another thing that we added to the land, which was really essential, you've probably seen us in previous videos hauling all the stone off the back of the truck and using the truck as a tractor. And what we had to do is we had to put in place a driveway. So this was really essential. So just like we got the driveway to the side here, we had to extend this driveway all the way up to the top so that we can get building supplies to the top of the barn, so that we can be doing building work and we can get access to the top of the land in a 4x4.
So I'm sitting at our well. Obviously when you're off-grid, having your own water supply is vitally important, so this was a huge plus for us when we bought the land. It's got a good capacity, but actually underneath it, it's much wider than it is on the top, so it holds a lot more water than you can actually see, and it's very deep as well. The reason why we know that it holds much more water than you can see is in the summer when there was a drought, the water level dropped and we could see that there was an underground cavity that was really wide and we couldn't actually see the back of it. So it has a really good capacity of water, this well, so yeah, it's been a big plus on the land. So one of the things that we've recently put into the land was a water setup. So we've got one water point here. So this is a second water point at our mid-terrace by these ancient grapevines behind us. This is going to be a good water point for irrigation in the future. So our crops are going to be all behind us, so we can run a water channel down that's gravity fed and feed water into our crops in the future. So this is our third and final water point. It's located by the barn and it brings the water all the way from the well to the top of the land.
So this here is our shabby, scruffy looking, what would you call it, Laura?
Well, it was a pony.
What would you call it now?
I don't know.
A bag of dirt.
Yeah, it doesn't really, it's not really fit for purpose now. It's just kind of a place where all of our stuff's just clumped together.
Yeah, so basically this was what we put in, this was a thing that we put in place very early in the off-grid journey. See, when we first arrived in our camper van, we knew that we would need a space to basically put and store all the different belongings and all the different building supplies and tools that we brought over in our camper van. With us living in our camper van, we needed to get all them out of there and get them into a quick makeshift space, and we knew that this space would be a perfect thing to put in place so that we could basically move all our belongings into, and it has served purpose well. But one of the future plans that we've got up and coming in the future is that we want to kind of sort all the stuff out that's in here, because it's all any old brick and bracker, that's what we call it where we're from, brick and bracker, or rag and bone as I call it as well. But basically any old bits and bobs that we find, we use this to store bits. If we find free wood, whether we're doing a current job and we have a current part that's left, we store it in here. So one of the current plans on the land is to sort all this out, and over here in this spot over here, and in this gigantic spot here that is just alongside the other shed that we have, we want to build a big storage unit that is going to outlast the polytunnel. So we're going to build something in this area that can be used as better storage in the future. And this here is the man cave. So this is where the main business goes down. So when we first arrived to the land, we knew that another good feature that we needed to put in place was a tool storage area. So I think it's very important on the off-grid journey is to have a base where you've got all your tools set up so that you're not, when you're doing one job somewhere, you're not looking around everywhere and you can't find something. So I think it's really important to have a base set up where you've got all your tools, where you can just come to when you're doing a certain job, pick all your tools and go off and do whatever you need to do. So as I said, this is the man cave. This is where it really goes down. And there's a funny little feature. Laura even wrote a little man on there saying "Hola," and she even wrote it for us saying the man shed.
It is the man shed, isn't it?
It's the man shed, this.
This is our area for composting, and one of the first things that we also built on the land. It's just been really handy for composting our food scraps, bits that will clear off the land and other things. And
Our poop.
yeah, I was trying to be tactile and not say that, but
Why? There's no one poop.
no.
There's no one poop in the world.
No. But yeah, it's a really good place to like recycle our
Poop.
yeah, and just return it to nutrients into the soil when we eventually start growing here. And in this area here, we're going to be putting some no-dig beds in the future. So we're not going to be drawing out nutrients from the land. We're just going to put cardboard down and compost on top of that and start growing no-dig beds. So that's a future plan. We're still not there yet, but but that's a future plan.
It's the light coming through the crack. When life shows an open door.
So with the property, we've also been blessed with a lot of ancient grapevines. We're not exactly sure how many we've got, but I think it's around 50 just scattered around the property. And as you can see, this one here is an absolute weapon. It's really ancient. It's so thick.
It's a thick boy.
It's a thick boy.
Does it have a thick trunk, Laura?
It has a really thick trunk. And yeah, these produce a lot of nice grapes. We harvested some grapes last season and it was just, yeah, just, well, bellissimo. Yeah, it was really nice.
And what are our future plans with all these grapevines? Your guess is as good as mine.
I thought you were actually going to take out some grapevines there.
And what we have here is, you wouldn't believe it, This is a swimming pool. That's right, a swimming pool. So one of the things that we put in place in the summer, because it was so hot when we first arrived, is we needed somewhere to have a dip. So we put this in place as a quick makeshift way to be able to cool down. So we've yet to test it, because by the time we built it the summer had gone and now it's too cold. But we're protecting it at the moment. We've got this feature on top here, this really sophisticated feature, which is basically a bit of knackered plywood that's soaked through now. We've got this attached onto the top just to protect the inner lining underneath from the UV light, because things just disintegrate here with the heat. So we'll test this in the summer and we'll see if it works. In a future plan, what we want to do is we want to build a larger water container instead of that little shabby one. We want to build one out of stone, because one of the lessons that we've learned in the off-grid journey is that you want to build things that last. We haven't done that so far, but we look to emulate that in the future. We look to progress from that. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to build a big stone container, which is a common feature here with all the lands that are around us. And why it's a good feature for is because on the homestead it's really good to use for irrigation, and it's also good for a nice swim on them hot days.
So on our mid-terrace of the land, this is where the main body of our... So on our mid-terrace of the land, this is where our main body of... So on the mid-terrace of the land, this is where the large amount of our olive trees actually are. We'll have about 75 olive trees. I think we need to do a recount, but it's around that number. And in the future, I would love to make our own olive oil. We haven't got around to doing that yet because we're in here for the season. So watch this space. But yeah, I really love this part of the land because it's just a nice feature having the olive grove go straight up and down, and it's just really beautiful. So this is one of the most beautiful parts of the land in my opinion, and it extends all the way up to the barn as well. So we'll take you up there. So here we are at the top of the land with our stone barn. This is the main selling point for us for the land, because when we were originally looking at pieces of land, all the plots had ruins on which you couldn't really do up. But this one had a fully intact stone barn, which was the main reason why we fell in love with it. So it's made in the traditional style with the old granite stones. What we're going to be doing in the future is we're going to paint the outside of it and really enhance the stonework. We're going to be putting a tile roof on the top. We're going to be putting a stone patio down outside, obviously changing the door. We're going to be doing it all up, and I can't wait to see what it looks like and to have this as our home in the future. One of the most common questions that both Dan and I get on the videos is how much did we pay for this plot of land? So we bought this land over a year ago now, and at the time of buying it we paid €15,000 for it, which with the exchange rate back then was about £12,500. Obviously the property prices have gone up since then with the climate changing and more people coming over to central Portugal, but now you know how much we paid for the land. So this is the inside of the barn. It has a lot of potential. Every time that we come in here we're always changing and chopping our ideas because we always get inspired to do something else. But our plans at the moment are we're going to have a log burner in the middle. We're going to have a living space and a kitchen area. We're going to have a mezzanine. Originally we were going to have a mezzanine in that corner, but then we realised with the height space we'd be better off having a mezzanine in the middle and then having a bit of ladders going up to that. Originally we wanted to have this wall as the feature wall, but then because there's been so much concrete put on it and how difficult it is to get off, what we're going to do is we're going to whitewash that wall. And because these walls have been kind of done using a clay mix, it's something that's quite easy to chip off. We're going to continue to work chipping this off and then have these as like feature stone walls in the barn.
So when we first started clearing out the barn, we were kind of unsure of the purposes of what this was. It might have been kind of for some old mezzanine in the future where the farmer would sit above where his animals would be, so he could sleep on a night time and his animals would be on the lower deck. But what we've actually uncovered is when we've been chipping away at the stone and slowly working towards building the inside of the barn and getting it right back to the bare bones, is this is actually a feature window. So in the future what we're going to be doing is we're going to try and knock this out and put a window feature in here. So another plan that we have in the future is we want to create a patio area around here, so it kind of accentuates the barn and gives a little bit more kind of walking space around the outside of the barn and tidies it up. But to get to that point, what we need to do is is, like Laura's mentioned before, we need to point the outside of the building, but also this area here, we've decided at the moment what we're doing is, and I've slowly started doing this job, I've slowly started digging out a lot of the dirt. So in this area here, the ground level is quite unlevel, and it drops in a lot of the barn. So what I'm going to be doing over time is I'm going to be leveling this out, just so it kind of gets it back down to the right level, so that the barn's no longer sunken down and it's at the right level. So then we can kind of develop this area.
So as you can see here, the previous owner has made a window out of the door area. What we're going to do is we're going to knock these breeze blocks out and have another door coming out to the back of the barn. This is the area where the main amount of our fruit trees are, so it's mostly apple that we've got, but we've also got pear, we've also got pomegranate, we've just planted a fig tree, so we've got a lot of different varieties of fruit here, which is really nice. We're going to be planting more in the future, but this is what we've got at the moment.
So this is the part of the land where the real business goes down. This is the poop shelter.
Poop shack.
Poop shack. That's what we should call it from now on. Maybe we should get a plaque there saying the poop shack. So this is the poop shack, which we've just newly coined. But this is the area, this is one of the first things that we put on the land, was basically an outhouse, which is a shower and a toilet. So we'll show you on inside.
So this is the inside of the outhouse. All of this was done on a really tight budget, so it's a little bit cheap and cheerful in here, but it serves its purpose. So we've got our compost toilet, we've got a sink to wash our hands with a water dispenser, and we've also got an instant boiler which feeds our shower, which is really nice to have on the land.
And the best part about it is that you can poop with a view. In this area is the germ bros. So one of the things I wanted to add on the land was a calisthenics rig. I love doing calisthenics, and it's a good way, when it's your home, you need somewhere you can have easy access to, where you can just do a quick workout, and that's what we've got with this. And you can hang out with the view.
371. 372. 373. 374.
One more, Laura.
375. 376. So this is our outdoor kitchen. Obviously it's not much of an outdoor kitchen yet because it's not finished, but we've got the main structure up. We've still got to finish the patio flooring. We've got our fire pit in, but when it's finished it's going to look really awesome.
So as Laura mentioned, once the patio is completely finished and all set in place, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building an outdoor kitchen of some sort over this side. What we're going to do that, we're going to use the breeze blocks to build the foundations of the outdoor kitchen. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add some kind of rustic stones on the outside to give it like a nice rustic finish and finish it off all nicely. We're going to be putting in some nice countertops. We're going to have obviously a sink in place. We're going to have some sort of maybe a pizza oven and everything else that we conjure up in between.
So with being off-grid, water collection is a big priority. So we've got these IBCs here ready to collect the rainwater off the structure of the roof. Obviously we haven't got the guttering in yet, but that's something we're going to do in the future. We're also going to be stacking these IBCs up, and so when one gets full, the other one will also start to fill up.
And in this area here, also alongside the outdoor kitchen, we're going to be building a wood storage in the future.
So here we have the bell tent. We'll put this up because it's going to be a great place for guests to stay. We can stay if we decide to sell the van in the future. And I just really like it on the land. It's in a perfect position overlooking the mountains. So I'll show you inside. So here we have our log burner. We've had lots of nice fires in there and it just warms up the space really beautifully. So we absolutely love this feature. We also uncovered this bit of slate for the ground on the bottom terrace of our land when we were digging a channel, so we thought it was the perfect use to put the log burner on top of so it doesn't spoil the floor. We brought this rug over from the UK and we just really like it. It just adds a lovely warm feel into the bell tent. Here we have some nice drawers that were brought over from the UK, so it's nice to have some extra storage. Obviously when you live a very minimal life off-grid, storage is always handy, so we love these. We also have a bed. In the future we're going to be raising that on some pallets maybe, making a proper bed out of it, but for now it's just sitting on the floor. So thank you so much for watching our updated land tour. It's been a full year since we bought the land and we recorded our first ever land tour, so it's been nice to do an updated version to show you what we've been up to.
And it's also good to show you some of our future plans and share with you what we've got up and coming on the land as well. We've got so much more to do, but it's all a part of the journey.
Yeah, it's just growing at the end of the day. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.